A helicopter is not a vehicle. It is a mechanical paradox, a machine that fights physics with precision engineering, consuming capital at a rate that makes supercar ownership look restrained. The image is seductive, bypassing traffic, landing at your country estate, the ultimate expression of time as the true luxury. But behind the polished rotor blades and the leather-trimmed cabin lies a financial architecture designed to transfer wealth from your balance sheet to a network of maintenance facilities, insurers, and regulatory bodies indefinitely. £38,000. That is the cost of a single main rotor blade on an Airbus H125, and you need 3 of them. They have a finite service life of approximately 15,000 flight hours. On paper, that sounds generous. In practice, any damage, a stone chip during landing, a bird strike, even hangar rash from ground handling, can write off a blade instantly. This is not a consumable. It is a financial time bomb bolted to the top of your aircraft. The entry point to turbine helicopter ownership begins at approximately £1.5 million. An Airbus H125, the best-selling single-engine turbine helicopter in the world, lists at roughly £2 million in standard configuration. Step up to a twin-engine Bell 429 and you cross £4 million. A Sikorsky S-76D, the helicopter of choice for heads of state and Fortune 500 CEOs, starts at $13 million before customization. But the purchase price is not the cost of ownership. It is merely the key that unlocks a vault of recurring expenditure. Over 5 years, a well-utilized turbine helicopter, flown 200 hours annually, will consume between £2.5 and £5 million in operating costs alone. The purchase price is the smallest number on the spreadsheet. The helicopter market exploits a simple truth. Buyers fixate on the acquisition figure because it is visible. The operating costs are invisible until the first invoice arrives. Helicopter maintenance operates on a calendar and hours system that makes the Bugatti service schedule look lenient. Every 100 flight hours, a comprehensive inspection that strips panels, bore scopes the engine, and checks every critical fastener. Cost: £15,000 to £25,000 minimum. Every 400 hours, a deeper teardown, often requiring engine removal and bench testing. Cost: £50,000 to £80,000. And then there is the 12-year overhaul, the event every owner dreads, where the helicopter is essentially disassembled to its airframe, inspected to the last rivet, and rebuilt. Cost: £250,000 to £500,000. This is not optional maintenance. This is regulatory compliance mandated by the Civil Aviation Authority. Skip an inspection, and your aircraft is grounded. No exceptions, no extensions, no negotiation. What makes this structurally punishing is that the clock never stops. A helicopter, sitting in a climate-controlled hangar, never flown, still requires calendar-based inspections. Seals degrade, lubricants oxidize, avionics, batteries deplete. A helicopter that flies 50 hours a year costs nearly as much to maintain as one that flies 200. The fixed costs do not scale down with usage. This is not poor planning by owners. It is the fundamental architecture of rotary wing aviation. A turbine helicopter cannot be flown by the owner alone, not unless the owner holds a commercial pilot license with a turbine-type rating. Most do not. The solution? A full-time pilot on retainer. Salary: £60,000 to £90,000 a year. But the cost does not end with the salary. The pilot requires recurrent training, Type-specific simulator sessions every 6 months at £7,000 to £10,000 per session. They require a medical certificate renewed annually. They require flight hours to maintain currency. A pilot who does not fly enough loses their type rating. A pilot who flies too much requires additional crew. This is not an employee. It is a living, breathing, operating expense with its own regulatory overhead. Fuel. A Bell 407 burns approximately 45 gallons of Jet A1 per hour. At current UK prices, approximately £4.50 per gallon, the fuel cost alone is £200 per hour. A 200-hour annual flight schedule means £90,000 in fuel per year, before the helicopter has turned a single rotor blade in revenue-generating activity. Storage. A turbine helicopter requires a hangar, ideally climate-controlled, ideally with direct airfield access. Hangar rental at a regional UK airfield, £2,000 to £4,000 per month. London-adjacent facilities command a premium. The helicopter parked on a helipad exposed to British weather is a helicopter with accelerated corrosion, degraded seals, and a maintenance bill that compounds faster. Weather protection is not a luxury. It is a cost avoidance mechanism, but it carries its own price tag. Helicopter insurance is not like car insurance. It is a specialist market dominated by a handful of Lloyd's of London syndicates and niche aviation underwriters. Annual premiums for a single-engine turbine helicopter operated privately, £30,000 to £50,000. For a twin-engine model, £60,000 to £100,000. And these premiums come with conditions that most first-time buyers do not anticipate. The pilot must have a specified minimum number of hours on type, typically 500, sometimes 1,000. The helicopter must be hangared at an approved facility with specified security measures. Any claim, even a minor ground incident, can trigger a premium increase of 30 to 50% at renewal, and the excess on a hull claim, damage to the aircraft itself, typically starts at £50,000. The exclusions are where the real risk lives. Most policies exclude wear and tear, a phrase insurers interpret broadly. A component that fails due to metal fatigue, excluded. An engine that ingests a bird on takeoff, covered but with the excess applying. The financial reality is that the owner carries a significant portion of the risk alongside the insurer. The helicopter is never truly insured in the way a car is insured. It is partially self-insured, and the self-insured portion runs into 6 figures. Every helicopter has a ticking clock embedded in its airworthiness certificate, the 12-year major inspection, known in the industry as the 12-year event. This is not a service. It is a complete structural rebuild. The helicopter is disassembled to its bare airframe. Every component, from the main rotor mast to the tail rotor driveshaft, is inspected, measured, and either recertified or replaced. The transmission is stripped and rebuilt. The engine undergoes a hot section inspection at the manufacturer's facility. The avionics suite is tested, calibrated, and often upgraded to meet evolving regulatory requirements. The total cost of a 12-year overhaul on a Bell 407, between £300,000 and £400,000. On a larger twin-engine helicopter, the figure can exceed £800,000. This cost is not optional. It is not negotiable. It is the price of keeping the aircraft legally airworthy, and it arrives on a fixed schedule, regardless of how much or how little the helicopter has flown. An owner who purchased a helicopter 8 years ago is now 4 years from the 12-year event. The helicopter on the balance sheet is not an appreciating asset. It is a liability with a known maturity date, and the maturity value is brutal. Helicopters depreciate. Unlike fixed-wing aircraft of equivalent value, which can hold value remarkably well in the pre-owned market, helicopters lose value at a rate of 5 to 10% annually, depending on utilization, maintenance history, and market conditions. A £2 million helicopter purchased new will be worth approximately $1.2 million after 5 years, before accounting for the looming 12-year overhaul, which further depresses resale value. A buyer evaluating a helicopter with 7 years remaining until its 12-year event will discount the purchase price by the expected overhaul cost. The seller absorbs the depreciation. The buyer prices in the future liability. Both lose. The comparison with private jet ownership is instructive and uncomfortable. A pre-owned Citation Mustang, a light jet seating 4, can be acquired for roughly the same price as a new Bell 407, around £2 million. The jet flies faster, travels further, and operates in a more liquid resale market. The helicopter offers something the jet cannot: point-to-point access to locations without runways. That access is real, but it comes at a premium that compounds with every flight hour, every inspection, and every passing year. Some owners attempt to offset costs through charter operations. The UK charter market pays between £800 and £1,500 per flight hour for a single-engine turbine helicopter. At 200 charter hours per year, the revenue is theoretically meaningful, but the economics unravel on closer inspection. Charter operations require an air operator certificate from the CAA, which imposes additional maintenance standards, crew requirements, and administrative overhead. The insurance premium increases by 50 to 100%. The helicopter accrues hours faster, accelerating the approach to the 12-year overhaul. The revenue looks attractive on a spreadsheet. The net margin, after costs, after compliance, after accelerated depreciation, rarely exceeds 10%. The more sophisticated approach mirrors the strategies employed in superyacht and private jet ownership. The helicopter is placed inside a corporate entity, a holding company, a charter operation, a film production business, and operated as a depreciating business asset. The losses offset taxable income elsewhere. The maintenance costs become deductible expenses. The VAT on the purchase and ongoing costs can, in certain structures, be recovered. The helicopter is not a personal indulgence. It is a tax planning instrument with a rotor system. This is not about flight. It is about positioning. The verdict is uncomfortable and unambiguous. A turbine helicopter, flown 200 hours a year, will cost its owner between £400,000 and £500,000 annually every year before depreciation. Over 5 years, the cumulative cost of ownership can exceed the original purchase price. The people who buy these aircraft and use them extensively understand something most observers do not. They are not buying a form of transport. They are buying time, the one asset that cannot be earned back, invested, or replaced. A helicopter converts money into hours. Whether that conversion makes sense depends entirely on what those hours are worth. But if you are approaching helicopter ownership the way you might approach a property investment or a stock purchase, if you are entering this ecosystem expecting the numbers to add up, the numbers will not add up. They were never designed to. Owning a helicopter is not a financial decision. It is a time arbitrage. And for the people who can afford it, that is precisely the appeal. If you want more elite insights like this, like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for powerful high-level content consistently.